topic, salary negotiation. And it's actually, yeah, get paid what you're worth, but it's also understanding what is involved with salary negotiation, because it really is more than just a paycheck. This is really more like a high-level view of some of the issues that you want to think about as you enter into salary negotiation. Now, salary negotiation can be when you're starting a new job, or it can be when you're going internally for a promotion, because to know what your value is on the general market will help inform how you move forward and the decisions that you make. There's a process behind it, and fundamentally, it's all about research. The first part of it is research yourself. What are your salary needs? What is it that you need to meet your overhead? Salary is the paycheck. What do you need to meet your overhead? What qualifications do you have? Because your qualification will influence the salary, obviously. And then the next step is really understanding what's involved in the compensation package, in a compensation package, and pick and choose those things that you have to have, or those things that are negotiable, because that will come into play when you actually enter into the negotiation process. There's tremendous amount of information out on the, guess what, on the web about researching your position, researching the company, researching benefits, researching, pay scales, etc. So we'll cover just a few of them, but there's an enormous amount of information. That start with you. And yes, it is all about you and what your needs are. So some of the things you want to consider, again, this is salary, this is your paycheck, this is what you need to live reasonably well. Some of you have student loans. Some may have family requirements. Flexibility is important to you for a variety of different reasons, because of childcare, for example. What are your professional goals? What are your financial goals? Do you want to earn enough to be able to put money away to purchase a property? Do you want to take a, outrageous trip? What's your risk tolerance? Because your risk tolerance will influence the type of company or industry that you may be attracted to. So it's really all about you. And it's important to think about these issues or these areas before you begin a salary negotiation, because it will drive all of your decision. Your qualifications, okay, education, that's kind of a no-brainer. What school did you go? What type of training did you have? What type of degree do you have? Advanced degrees, certification. But there's another part to that, which, what about classes that you took that really don't result in a formal certification? It could be a programming class, because salary is only one component of it. There are a lot of different components that you really want to consider. Professional development, this adds to your value. Is the organization going to send you to conferences? Are there opportunities internally to develop your skills? Some organizations have a rotation process, where you can go from one job function to another, because they want somebody who has well-rounded experience within the organization. Are you able to take classes with tuition reimbursement? There's lots of things that you want to ask about with your professional development. This is researching more specifically about your job. You had to research yourself, which is, what do I want? What's my vision? What's my goal? So this is what I want. Now you want to start looking at the job market, talent acquisition. And you'll notice it's on a bell curve, with good reason. When you go into salary negotiation, your paycheck, you want to avoid going for the top of the range. And the reason why I say that is you have nowhere to go. Organizations cannot necessarily increase your salary beyond a certain band. You also need to know that organizations, depending upon the size, especially the more mature, the larger corporations, they may be operating with salary bands, which means they have to stay within a certain range for a particular job function, and they really can't get out of it. So when you go into salary negotiation, you want to know, based upon your experience, where you fall on the bell curve. And my recommendation is always know what your rock bottom is, and always know how far you can push it. It's the heart of it. Interview tips. And again, this is a rich conversation and we have a short time period. So I'm just going to go through some of the highlights. Again, do your research, know your transparent pay transparency requirements, etc. Know your market value. The more you know your market value, the more confident you are and the easier it is to negotiate. This is interesting about owning your competitive advantage. A lot of people know what their qualifications are, but they don't necessarily own it. It's not part of saying, whoa, yes, this is who I am. And then a subset of that is being able to communicate your accomplishments in business value terminology. And I mean by being able to say, this is what I've done. This is the result that came out of that particular activity. Think of it as a sales process. Feature is what you did. Benefit is what the employer will get out of it. Here are some of the questions that you may find or challenges you may be up against. A lot of companies will say, ask you questions about what your salary expectations are, what your range is, etc. Do your best to avoid answering them, because remember, it's more than just the paycheck. It's the entire compensation package. So you could say, I'd like to learn more about the total package before and the position before I really discuss salary or my expectation. Here's another tip that's really important. You don't want to get into salary negotiation before you have a written offer. The reason is that the written offer is almost like a contract. It is a contract, and it clarifies expectations. It's right out there and gives you the grounds upon which to negotiate. So you could say, I'd like to see your final offer in writing before you make the final decision. And that's perfectly okay to ask. As far as flexibility regarding your salary, and I've just alluded to this, consider the trade-offs. Maybe you postpone your start date. That's a point of negotiation. My niece went from one job to another job, and her start date was a month after she left her previous job. And that was part of the negotiation. Job title. And the reason that the job title is really important is that it will influence the way your compensation package.